Hello, Year 2, it's Mr. Church here. So this is this week's RE lesson. So lesson 2. So these are the two questions we are going to be looking at today. So who was the Prophet Muhammad and why is he important to Muslims? Now, just before we get started in our learning today, just to remind you that if you need to pause the video at any point, that is okay. There will also be questions for you that I ask during the lesson, and it's a really good idea if you can say your answers out loud, because that really helps us with our remembering of information, okay? So I'll get started. If you need to pause it, that's okay. Watch the video all the way through, do the tasks and answer the questions as we go. But then if you need to rewatch it at the end, that's absolutely fine as well. So let's get started in thinking about the Prophet Muhammad. So our success criteria for today, we've got 3 of them at the bottom here. The first one in red says, I can retell a story about the Prophet Muhammad. Second one in yellow, I can say Muslims try to follow Muhammad and have great respect for him. So we'll be thinking about how Muslims might show respect. And then the last one in green, I can say some of the similarities between God and Allah. So those are the things I'm going to be looking for, and your teachers will be looking for when you're doing your learning and your independent tasks, or maybe even your quiz on Purple Mash a little bit later on. So let's start with our knowing more and remembering more. Question 1. What is the Shahada? Is it A, the words that are whispered into the ear of a baby when they are first born? Is it B, one of the 5 pillars of Islam? Or is it C, something that Christians say? So just write down A, B, or C. Question 2. Muslims never draw Allah. Is that true or false? And there's a bonus point if anyone can tell me or think about why that might be. And if you can tell your teachers in your next live lesson that you see them, I'll be really impressed to know why Muslims never draw Allah, true or false, and why you think that. Last question. Muslims refer to their God as Allah, true or false? What do you think? Okay, once you've got your answers, if you want to get yourself a different color pen so we can mark them. Okay, here are the answers. So the Shahada are the words that are whispered into the ear of a baby when they are first born, and they are also one of the 5 pillars of Islam. Question number 2, true, Muslims never draw Allah. So why is that? For an extra challenge question from me today. And question number 3, do Muslims refer to their God as Allah? Yes, they do. That is true. How many did you get correct? Well done if you got all 3. If you didn't get one correct, write the correct answer next to it, because that helps us remember a bit more, helps us in our learning if we can write out the correct answer. This might be a good time to pause the video if you need a little bit more time. So here's our knowledge organizer for today. And we are thinking about question number 2 up here in the green section. Who was the Prophet Muhammad and why is he important to Muslims? And then if we look down in our key ideas at the bottom, Islam, it is the world's 2nd largest religion with 1.8 billion followers. And we're going to have a little bit of a think about followers as we go through our lesson. And we can see in the blue section, thinking about our vocabulary, we've got the Prophet Muhammad, and we can see there's an illustration, a picture there of him. And it says that Muhammad was an Arab religious, social, and political leader, and he was the founder of Islam. So religious, we know what that means. That's about our beliefs. If someone is a social leader, that means that they are leading people and leading change, maybe in our community. And political leaders, so that would be somebody like Boris Johnson, who's our current Prime Minister, or, as I'm recording this, Joe Biden, because he's just been inaugurated in America. He is the leader of the United States. So that would be a political leader. So Muhammad was all of those, and we're going to find out some more about him today. So keywords that you know, we'll do my turn, your turn. And remember to you say the words out loud, and this will help you with them. So we'll do the words you know first. Important, shahada, prayer. Well done if you called those out after me. Now, my turn, your turn for words you are going to meet today. So my turn, your turn. Leader, PBUH, peace be upon him. Well done. And some of you may have noticed that the letters PBUH are in peace be upon him. Ooh, I wonder why that's there. So let's have some thinking time. Who is a leader? A good leader isn't the person or isn't the one with the loudest shout, the loudest voice, or the best fighter, or the cleverest person in a room. A good leader is somebody who sets a good example. Can you think of a good leader? I'm going to give you some thinking time, and then I'll share with you an example of a good leader. Okay, so if we're thinking about a good leader, who comes to mind? So if I think about being in school, I might say that Mr. Shepherd is a good leader because Mr. Shepherd, if you think about it, he doesn't shout very loud at all, does he? He always has a nice, calm, quiet voice, talks really well. He never seen him get in a fight. He doesn't make arguments with people. And I don't know about this, but I think Mr. Shepherd would say that he doesn't think he's the cleverest person in the school. But Mr. Shepherd, I think, does set a good example. So this means that he, and you can see in the picture here, if this person in the blue, if we imagine that was Mr. Shepherd, we could say that he's setting a good example because he's helping this man, this person, up the stairs. He's not shouting at him. He's not arguing with him. He's not standing there saying, I got here first, I'm the best. He's showing help and he's offering his support by helping with his hand to help this man up. So you could say that this is a good leader. Another good leader could, for example, be, oh, I wonder if you've got any good ideas back at home. I think the Queen could be a good example of a good leader because she sets a good example. If you think about the Queen, the way that the Queen behaves and the way she talks, she's always got respect for other people. She always makes sure that she listens to other people before she does things. She certainly isn't somebody who shouts the loudest or makes sure that she's the most listened to person or argues with people. She is somebody who sets a good example and helps others. So those are two examples. Who did you come up with? Okay, so let's think about the Prophet Muhammad, because to Muslims, he is considered a special leader. Can you believe that he has over 1.5 billion followers who respect him all over the world? That's huge. And people have followed his teaching for over 1,400 years. Now I'm just thinking, if I do my maths, and we're in the year, what year are we in now? 2021. And if I take away 1,400, it would be the year 621. That's how long ago that Prophet Muhammad was started his teachings when he was alive, all that time ago. And given that that was so long ago, he still has 1.5 billion followers. So around the world, 1.5 billion people respect him and follow him in what his teachings are about the Islam religion. So he, all those years ago, 1,400 years ago, when the Prophet Muhammad was alive, he taught all Muslim people how to follow God. So a bit like in Christianity, when you had Moses and he taught people how to follow God's will in Christianity. The Prophet Muhammad does the same thing in the Muslim religion. He told people how to follow God and how to follow his rules and to do the right thing. He's so special that when Muslims talk about him, when they say his name, they always say after him, peace be upon him. My turn, your turn, peace be upon him. That's such a nice thing to say, I think, that when you say Muhammad, you say Muhammad, peace be upon him. I wonder if you can say that. So my turn, your turn, Muhammad, peace be upon him. Perfect. But down here it says that when they write his name, they put the letters P, B, U, H after his name. Thinking time now, and you might want to pause this if you want to now. Why do they write the letters P, B, U, H after his name? What might that stand for? Okay, I'm sure lots of you have got the right answer there. And of course, you're right, it stands for peace be upon him. And if we look up here, P, B, U, H. And they write that because it's shorter than writing peace be upon him, the words all of the time. So do you know of any religious leaders? So I'm not going to show you the pictures yet. So you might want to spend some time thinking about two leaders that you've learned about, and I'll give you a clue there, in Christianity. And I've mentioned one of their names already in this lesson. Okay, do you know any other religious leaders from a different religion? Do some thinking. You can say your answer if you've got it. I'm going to show them now. So if you don't want to see them, you can pause. So we've got Moses. Oh, what's he doing in that picture? Looks like the sea is parting. I wonder if you know anything about that story. And in year 2, you've also learned about Jesus. And they are two really important religious leaders who have set good examples and shown people the way of God. So here is our story about Muhammad and the cat. This might be one of those points where you want to pause it so you can read it yourselves, or you might want to, once I've finished reading it, go back and read it again to help you understand it. It was a very hot day. Muhammad sat down in the shade of a date palm tree and began talking to his friends. He was wearing a long cloak which covered the ground when he sat down. When he went to stand up, he noticed that a mother cat had brought her kittens and placed them on the corner of his cloak. The mother started to feed her kittens. Muhammad looked at them and gave thanks to Allah who created all living creatures. Oh, Zuwainis, get your thinking hats on now. Then what do you think Muhammad did next? So he sat down with his beautiful big cloak that's covered the floor, and he has got a cat with her kittens, has really snuggled in to his cloak and is all comfortable feeding her kittens. What would Muhammad do? You can see the picture there. He asked for a knife. And carefully, Muhammad cut around his cloak where the cat and her kittens were lying, and then without disturbing them, he walked quietly away. That's really interesting. I don't know about you, year 2, but I wondered if he might have shouted at the cat and said, "Get off my cloak, you're going to make it dirty," and snatched it away from them. What were your ideas? Tell me what your ideas were. Okay, so really good ideas there, year 2. Well done. Now, I wonder why. Why did Muhammad act in that way? Why did he behave like that? Why did he cut around his cloak so carefully and leave the cats in peace without disturbing them? Why didn't he behave selfishly, or why wasn't he mean and snatched his cloak away? Okay, so here is our recap of today's lesson and some other learning that you would have done. So who was the founder of Islam? What is the name of the followers? What is the name of the holy book? How many times do Muslims pray in a day? And what is one of the central teachings in the holy book of the followers of Islam? I wonder if you know the answer to those questions. Okay, so the activity that you've got to complete today to help you in this learning is on Purple Mash for you, or if you haven't got Purple Mash, it is in your home learning handout pack, which if you haven't got it on email, your parents or your carers can go into school and pick up a copy of the pack for you from the office. So this is where I leave you with today's learning. Well done for giving me lots of good ideas, and I will see you next time for some more RE.